Alright, hey, what's up guys, Nine Toes here, and today I want to cover with you some of the frequently asked questions when it comes to running a server for the PlayStation 3, of course, on the consoles. Not too certain how it works on the Xbox 360 since I don't have access to one. I'm going to assume that they're going to be very similar, so I'm going to show you the two servers that I have administrator access to. Now, this is something to obviously keep in mind if you are planning to rent one and want your buddies involved, because they will be able to change settings and configurations much like you could. There's no unfortunate way to lock them out. If you have access, they have access. It's either you're an owner or an administrator, and that's just the way it goes. So that's just, again, something to kind of keep in mind. But I'm going to give you guys a couple little tips and thoughts and tricks and whatnot, obviously. But let's first start with the two most critical things that are the real reason why we're doing this. Is the first up, the presets, which are the rules that you're basically going to set up, while you're inviting people to play in your server. This is where you again can take the HUD off. You can have vehicles yes or no and things like that. Keep in mind as you get to the bottom of the list where it does say unranked settings that you want the right side of it to say that the preset is ranked, because once you go into the unranked mode, well, this is where eventually you're not going to be able to obviously play publicly. It's going to be basically like an offline server, private matches, etc. So if you do want to obviously play in a public server or a public match where you are ranked and you're getting credit for what you're doing, that's what you're looking to do, is obviously keep that right there. So just again, something to kind of keep in mind. Now, the other portion of it, again, that I know most people are really more concerned with is how do I get my maps and my my ticket count? How do I edit all that? Well, this is where you're going to go, obviously, into manage your map rotations. Now, here is where you're going to basically not only create your own custom map playlists, and again, you have the choice currently right now from Back to Car Canada and, of course, the regular vanilla maps, and to also edit the amount of tickets that you want, how many players, etc. that obviously you can see there before you. So it's not just you putting in a random number of tickets and whatnot. But bear this in mind when you are adding, let's say for example, Rush into this equation, because if you've got double the amount of tickets up, for example here in Conquest, so that you get 700 tickets instead of 350, it's also going to double the amount of tickets in Rush as well too, and it's going to suck because the attackers are always going to win, and you're not going to have any fun as a defender. Just putting that out there. So at any rate, this is where I would definitely suggest, if you're going to run kind of a mixed mode, if you will, you obviously would want to have two different playlists or more, because you can have as many as you like. And if you're going to run, let's say for example, Rush and Squad Rush, then obviously have a preset for that. If you're going to run just Conquest and Conquest Assault and Team Deathmatch, then obviously have a preset for those as well too, so that way once again, it's just fun for not only you and your buddies, but also for anyone else that gets involved. So just something to think about. Quickly here, this screen is where you're going to be able to name your server, the little server rules that pop up if you want to have something like that, and of course your little welcome message. But here I'm going to kind of walk you through where you kind of can make your own little preset, real quick. I can name it right there, whatever I want to call it, in addition to the ones that are already default into the system. So, once again, just making it really simple. There's no option, by the way, this is a frequently asked question, on how do I take off shotguns or no 320s or things like that. It's just, you can't do it. So it's the reason why you would even want to do this, realistically, is to play the maps that you like to play, you and your buddies, and maybe, tweak up the ticket count. So that's realistically it. Now here is, I'm now in game menu. So here, there's only really two things we can do. Ice and myself are both, he's the owner, I'm the admin. We can move one another, and if we don't like the next map that's coming up, we can skip it. That's realistically all you can do when you're in a round, since it was just the two of us, screwing around. So otherwise, you have to be out of the round, in the title menu screen to be able to make any other changes that you may want to do. So now, next up is how to get a pretty little picture if you want when you're first jumping into your server. This just is a nice little touch to make your server a little different than some of the other guys that are out there. Real simple and easy to do. Quite frankly, all you just need to do is just Photoshop an image 512 by 128 pixels in a JPEG format and upload it through Battlelog. That's realistically all you got to do, and it just takes a couple of seconds. So if you've got someone on the crew that has a little bit of Photoshop expertise or experience. Doesn't have to be obviously an expert, but a nice little photo. Just obviously when you're spawning into a map, will just again give it that little extra touch, if you will. So, but that's realistically about it. Beyond that, as I've already covered, there are certain things that you can touch and change as far as parameters are concerned. There's certain things that you just basically cannot. So at the end of it, it's just don't be a jerk and don't play God and don't mess with people's playing experiences. So by banning them or moving them or just for ignorant retarded stuff if they're stabbing you or owning you. So it kind of just is what it is at the very end of the day. But that's the whole idea, is just get out there, have a little fun. Split the cost with your friends. I don't want to start the argument of this should be free, or I'm not even trying to go there. This is not the right video for it. So got any other questions, leave them down below. Otherwise, we'll see you on the battlefield.